Hey everybody, welcome to TGC Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Bundy, and joining me today is our old friend, Patrick. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Um, we only have three stories to talk about this week, so it'll probably end up being a shorter episode, but I think all three of them are pretty interesting. And the first one here is that there's a new Rocket League game coming to iOS and Android sometime this year. That was announced on over on Twitter, and there's a lot of things to talk about with this. It's actually going to have online play with that you can do with friends, no matter how far away they are from you. It'll be like Rocket League, obviously, but there's a new field perspective. The matches will be 1v1 or 2v2 instead of 3v3 like they usually are.
Yeah.
And they're only going to last about 2 minutes because, you know, when you're playing a mobile game, you don't want the game to go on too long because you might be somewhere just waiting around. And yeah, I think that sounds pretty cool. What do you think about it?
I'm definitely interested, but I also feel like at the same time, anytime they try to put a console game on mobile, except for Lego Star Wars, it never ends up being good.
Mm. What are some examples of that? Because I can't think of any at the top of my head.
Oh God.
Because
I mean,
yeah.
any kind of Lego game that you got was definitely way better on console than it was for like the DS or something.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was
Um,
thinking about like iOS or Android because I know the KOTOR games like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, those are on iOS and Android now apparently, which is really crazy to me.
Knights of the Old Republic is?
Yes, it's on. I don't know if it's on Android, but I know someone has sent me like a screenshot from the App Store before, and they're like, "Hey, look, Knights of the Old Republic is on iPhone," and I'm like, "What?"
I mean, I bought Lego Star Wars, so I play that one. I didn't know Knights of the Old Republic was. I might have to check that out.
Yeah. What blows my mind about that is just the fact that we have iPhones that can run that game now.
Yeah.
Because it came out in like 2003 or 2004 or whatever, somewhere
Yeah,
around that
it
time.
was something like that.
Yeah, that's what's crazy to me. I mean, the thing with the Rocket League is Sideswipe. That's the full name, Rocket League Sideswipe. Uh, it'll apparently have a competitive mode with online ranking. Um, which to me is pretty crazy that they're actually trying to add some competitive mode to it because I mean to me
Yeah.
that sounds like maybe they actually are going to try to make this an inclusive part of the Rocket League brand. Like they want lots of people to play it. I mean it's going to be free when it comes out. Like anyone can download it and play it. So
Mm.
it's an interesting business model. But I was gonna say, since you're talking about Lego Star Wars, are you excited for the new Lego Star Wars game coming out, Skywalker Saga?
Not really.
No.
The original is by far the best, and it's all I need.
Oh, simple man. You only need the original.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just excited for it because I think it's like all 9 movies, and
It is.
yeah, and I've only seen like one trailer for it, I think, and it looks really gorgeous. Like it looks like a very beautiful game, and they have tons of playable characters, which I'm wondering. I mean, I know sometimes Lego games like I know Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham that had some DLC that added new characters and stuff. I wonder
Yeah.
if they'll add like maybe DLCs for Rogue One or Solo or maybe even like other Star Wars games like KOTOR. I think that'd be so sick.
I mean, I feel like they should include Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. Or sorry, not Knights of the Old Republic. They should include Solo and Rogue One in it. At the very least, they should have included Rogue One in it.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only reason I think they wouldn't contain it in the main game and make it DLC is because it's called the Skywalker Saga. So I'm assuming that means they're only going to do the 9 main movies at the beginning. That's how I interpreted it. But then again, Luke is only in, like, if you look at the sequel trilogy, he's only in episode 8.
Yep.
So, and I guess spoilers if you haven't seen episode 9. I haven't, but I already know this. But I guess Rey is also technically a Skywalker, so.
Yeah, it was not a good movie.
Yeah, that's, like, I watched The Force Awakens, and I was like, this is garbage. This is so bad. I don't ever want to watch the other ones. Like, I already knew what happened.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Force Awakens, I at least thought was good, just because, like, I realized it was an exact copy of what's called A New Hope, because it absolutely was. But it's still just awesome to see all those characters again after so long.
Yeah, I agree. It is pretty cool, but where it fell flat for me was just like the very bad like writing. Like I think like I'm all for Rey being like a what would you call her? Like an engineer, like a ship engineer. Like she studies the ship, the crashed ships, and learns how to, work within the engineering of the ship and everything, and basically be a mechanic. I'm all for that. But when she said she'd never flown a ship before, and then all of a sudden she like starts flying one around, like outmaneuvering trained, like Imperial pilots or whatever, I'm just like, okay, what's going on here, like guys? And then she gets like no training from any Jedi master or anything, and she's already like Jedi mind tricking people and stuff to get out of like, and I'm just like, what the heck? And then she beats Kylo Ren, and I'm like, how can I take Kylo Ren seriously at all if he just gets beaten by some scrub who's never even held a lightsaber? Like,
I don't think anyone took Kylo Ren seriously, to be fair.
yeah, and it is kind of the point. Like, you are supposed to feel bad for him because he's basically being propped up to be the next Darth Vader by whatever they're called, the New Order. No, the First Order. Sorry, like they want him to be their
not
new.
The Empire.
Yeah, not the Empire. That's the important part. It's not the Empire, but it's the Empire. So yeah. You're kind of supposed to feel bad for him, but it's like I still want to be able to see him as a threat. You know what I mean? Like even the fact that he's basically being asked to live up to this legacy that he could never live up to. It's like he still has to be a threat. I don't know. It's a whole. I don't know. And after I watched 7, I was like, you know what? I already know what happens in 8 and 9. I'm never watching them because I just don't want to subject myself to torture. But anyways, after the derailing of that conversation to Star Wars, we'll just start a Star Wars podcast. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Go on to our next story, which Patrick, I think you'll like this one. It's the game director for Anthem has left BioWare.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, another
this
one.
Was sad.
Yeah. Another senior staff member has pulled out of BioWare. He was the game director for Anthem, so it's not really shocking that he left like almost exactly 1 month after they canceled Anthem 2.0.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I have a few like maybe hot takes on Anthem, or at least about how EA has handled it.
Did you play it?
No, I have not played Anthem. I remember when Anthem.
Probably a good call.
Yes. I remember when Anthem was coming out. One of my close friends, he really loves BioWare, and he was trying to tell me and my other friends, "Hey, we should all get Anthem. It's the next BioWare game." And I'm like, I'd never played a BioWare game, so I had no like bias toward it or anything like that. I was just like, I'm not really interested in it. But have you played it?
Sorry, you caught me in the middle of a yawn. No, I'm not. I don't think I've ever actually played a BioWare.
The only BioWare game I've ever actually played is Knights of the Old Republic 1. So, I've played Mass Effect 1, but I didn't really like it, and I stopped playing. Uh, I had a lot of problems with the game. Not the story. The story was obviously amazing, but the gameplay I
Yep.
just could not get into. Like the combat, I really did not like it. So you haven't played Mass Effect either, then?
No, I've not played a Mass Effect game.
Okay. Yeah,
I
this.
think I'm gonna start with Andromeda.
You just triggered every Mass Effect fan listening to this podcast. Man said he's going to start with the worst one and the spin-off at that. Or what is, I should say, apparently the worst one. You know, full disclosure, I haven't played it. So I can't actually really give a solid opinion, but I do know people who really did not like Andromeda. I do know that.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I saw.
You saw what?
From what I saw, it was pretty bad.
Oh, okay, yeah. That from what I saw, yeah, too. Everyone did not like it. This director for Anthem, though, what's interesting is that he was with BioWare for almost 10 years. Because he started working at EA in 2011, and then in 2012, he joined BioWare, and he was a senior producer for Mass Effect 3. He supervised the campaign, the multiplayer, and the Citadel DLC, which I have obviously never played Mass Effect 3, but I believe the Citadel DLC was maybe one of the DLCs they added to fix the ending. I just remember people really hated the ending. Yeah.
I know people were mad because, like, they were trying to say every choice you made in the trilogy mattered, and then it was really only 2 choices in the third game actually mattered.
Oh, okay. So it just kind of felt like everything was sort of
pointless.
Yeah, like null and void. It's like, okay, well, no matter what you did, you either do this or this at the end of the trilogy.
Pretty much.
Okay. That is pretty bad, but I would not be as hard because it's like a game like the Outer Worlds. Like if you think like that game is lower budget, it's not had like years of planning and everything. So and in that game there's really only 2 choices, which is kind of bad, but I can be more forgiving because the rest of the game is so up to quality, so up to par, and you know, it's like I said, it's a smaller budgeted game, and it doesn't have the backing Mass Effect 3 did. You know, Mass Effect 3 had 2 whole games behind it. And obviously BioWare had to plan that story out across the whole trilogy. So I feel like that's worse. Is like when it's a whole trilogy and then the third game is like, oh, 2 choices, and it's like, what? You know. So I would say that's not good. But yeah, so and this guy, his name is Jonathan Warren. Funny, his first name's the exact same as mine. But 2 other people, Casey Hudson and Mark Dara. I hope that's how you say his last name. They also have already left. And wasn't Casey Hudson like a very big BioWare name?
I think so. I'm really not sure.
Okay. I feel like I've heard the name before. I was reading another article about this story, and they were saying Casey Hudson was a big creative force behind Anthem, and depending on how long he worked at the studio, maybe other games like Mass Effect. But yeah, since they've had so many senior staff members walk out. Well, this is the 3rd one, so you can call that quote unquote so many if you want, but I feel like it is a lot for the amount of time.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So it's like when you have all these senior staff members leaving the studio, it kind of, you know, brings into question what is going to happen, you know, with leadership, because people have to step up to fill those roles. So they have to find other people to fill those roles. And with EA in charge of the studio, they could just plant, you know, some EA shield in those roles, you know, or something. You know, it does beg the question, you know, what's going to happen to BioWare now and what will happen with Dragon Age 4, because from what I understand, that's their next title. And
is Dragon Age the next one coming out?
I believe it is Dragon Age 4, but they've also said they're coming out with a new mainline Mass Effect game that they'll actually make. that'll be
Oh wait,
connected.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, because Andromeda was made by like a third-party studio that EA handed the IP to. Um,
Is that true? I didn't think it was.
no, I believe it is. That's one of the reasons
Okay.
people think it failed horribly. At least is that it was given to uh, like a less experienced studio, and it was you're giving them one of the biggest IPs in the games industry.
Yeah.
So people were just like, that's a recipe for disaster.
Hmm.
So I don't know, something to think about. And then the last story is Nintendo is still going to stop selling Super Mario 3D All Stars tomorrow, actually. So if you haven't bought the game, you really need to, and you still want it. You really need to go ahead and buy
Yeah,
it.
you got to get on that.
Yeah, because apparently what's going to happen is on March 31st, so like I said, this Wednesday, Nintendo is going to pull the game from the Switch eShop. You won't be able to buy it. But if you've already bought the game, you can still play it anytime after March 31st, and you can also re-download it if you uninstall it anytime after March 31st. So it's still accessible for people who have bought it or have registered
Yeah.
their purchase after buying the physical or something. But and I also saw online that like if this when this happens, the only other way that you could possibly buy this game digital is that if you find a retail store that has a digital code for the download. Like when you go to GameStop,
Which
they
is
have.
so weird.
Yeah. I mean, I've never bought one of those like digital download codes. I'm like, why wouldn't I just go to the online store? Because I mean, if you like, maybe you could say, oh, well, maybe you don't have an internet connection. Well, you still need an internet connection to download the game. So
Hmm.
I don't know what reason people would be buying
Yeah, I
digital
have no
download
idea.
codes. Yeah, I did see though that GameStop is actually going to start selling PC hardware.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're getting into that market. Like they're going to start selling like graphics cards and I guess other computer parts for people who want to build or upgrade their PCs. Uh, which that's interesting. Uh,
Yeah. I'm glad too. I know GameStop's been struggling.
yeah, I feel like that's a new opportunity for them to kind of grow their business and maybe reach a new demographic of people, or at least like get a new product or provide a new service to people who go to GameStop. I think really GameStop just needs to like what's the word, like make their customer service a lot better. I guess that's the best way I can put
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because I don't know about you, but anytime I go to a GameStop, the customer service is always pretty bad. I feel like.
The one I would go to when I was younger was great. And then that one closed and I was so sad.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. It's just whenever I go to GameStop, I always get the impression that the customers, I mean, not customers, the retail employees hate me. Like they hate me for being there, and they don't want to deal with me whenever I come to the register and uh, buy a game, or you take a whole bunch of games to GameStop and be like, all right, I want to sell all these games. How much money, can I get for it? And they're like, oh, we'll take them all for $5. And you're like, huh?
Yeah. That is how it be.
Yeah, like I know people have probably seen that as like a meme, but it's like actually true. I did it once when I was a kid, and obviously I was a kid, so like I had never seen the memes or anything. But like, yeah, no, that happened to me,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay,
Well, I
all
sold
right,
games all the time. I sold games at GameStop all the time.
really,
Yeah, growing up, like what's called, I bought my 360 by selling my Wii and all that stuff because the Wii stopped working.
oh, and they still took it. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm not sure they realized.
Man, just finessed GameStop. What the heck? He finessed them so hard. Oh my God. Imagine being the guy to take that and be like, all right, kid, here's your money. And then when you leave, you're just like, you plug in the Wii and like, all right, let's see how this works. And it doesn't come on. And you're like, wait a minute. This guy just finessed me. That's so hilarious. But, yeah, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, that's going off the store. Bless you.
Thank you.
Yep. And this anniversary, just so everyone knows, the anniversary bundle includes Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, which I've played all of those games, and they're all pretty awesome in their own rights. Have you played any of those games?
I played Super Mario Galaxy.
Gotcha. So you never played Sunshine or 64?
No. I'm too young for that.
Oh, I didn't care. When I was a kid, I went through this whole Nintendo phase. I went back and played all these old games. Like I've played all three of these. And actually, if you don't want to go back and play Mario 64 in a 64 emulator or something, you can just buy Mario 64 DS, which looks pretty great. And a lot of people say Super Mario Sunshine is the black sheep of the series, but I mean, I liked it.
I thought people liked Sunshine.
I'm sure. See, the thing with any game like that is that anytime a game comes out, unless it's really bad, like, even if people don't like it when it first releases, there's usually some pushback a few years later being like, hey, man, this game wasn't as bad as everyone said it was, because people just the internet in general overreacts to everything,
Yeah.
And then people will go back later and be like, oh well, this game isn't as bad as everybody said it was. Like, I guarantee you, I give it 2, maybe even a year, 1, 2, 3 years from now, people will go back and be like, Cyberpunk 2077, man, that game was pretty awesome. It's not as bad as everyone says it is, because all the bugs will be gone, or whatever. And people will just be like, oh, well, this game's not that bad. It happens every time. It's especially bad with Call of Duty. New Call of Duty comes out and everyone's like, this is the worst Call of Duty since Call of Duty Ghosts, since Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This Call of Duty is trash. It's garbage. And a year later, they're like, wow, this Call of Duty is so bad, it made last year's Call of Duty look good. Oh, wait a minute. Last year's Call of Duty is the best Call of Duty ever. I hate Call of Duty's community so much.
I mean, let's be honest, the Ghost was not great.
Oh yeah, no. I never played Ghost when it came out, but I do know that's the one. That was the turning point for this series, and people were like, okay, this game's trash. It was like the first one where people were like, this is really bad, except for Modern Warfare 2. People hated that game at launch or throughout its life cycle. But yeah, I don't know. And so yeah, Mario Sunshine, I recommend it. At the very least, it has some of the most unique and fun settings out of all the 3D Mario games, because you're on Isle Delfino, just literally an island shaped like a dolphin. It's got a nice tropical settings. You go to a theme park, you go to like a harbor, hotel. It's pretty cool, man.
The only thing I really know is you get like this jetpack water sort of thing.
Yep, the flood. That's what it's called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's an acronym. Flood. Say FLUDD. It's made by the same inventor who created the Poltergeist 3000 in Luigi's Mansion. Professor
Dr.
Egad.
Egad?
Yeah.
Oh, professor, sorry, not doctor.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically the same thing. I think he's actually called Doctor. He might actually just be called Dr. Egad. You're probably right. But either one. But yeah. And there's also the big thing. Mario talks in that game. Well, not Mario. Sorry. Everyone around him talks. So they actually have voice acting. Which
Wow, Nintendo really sprung for that extra money.
I know, man. They're we reminds me of Serious Sam series. There's like a talking AI that like helps you in all the games, and in the first two games, it's just text on a screen that you read, and then in Serious Sam 2, she starts talking, and Serious Sam's like, "Whoa, you can talk now?" And then she's like, "It has something to do with having a bigger game budget." And then Serious Sam, he's like, "What's a game budget?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it." I was like,
All right, that's funny.
"Yeah, no, that game, I haven't beaten it, but it's really fun." But yeah, Mario Sunshine's voice acting. I don't know how the Japanese. I'm interested to see what the Japanese dub actually sounds like. I wonder how much better that would be, because I think people consider the English voice acting like kind of bad.
Hmm.
Which isn't surprising, because I feel there's a lot of games that are made in Japan, and then when they try to do the English translation for the voice acting, it's not that good. But I think nowadays is a lot better, especially with anime. Like there's a lot better translation that's done now. But this is Mario Sunshine came out what? How many years ago? I don't even know. Like 2000. Let's see.
I'll Google it, but I have no idea.
I'm googling it now. We'll see. Come on.
August 26, 2002.
Yeah. So 2002, I would not. Yeah, that's why. Nowadays, it's usually a lot better, but back then, nah. But Mario Galaxy, probably the best Mario game ever, I'd say. I've heard people say Odyssey is better, but I don't believe that really. And I do know, did you hear about the controversy that happened with this game?
No.
Like, I remember I was actually our former editor-in-chief and former host of the podcast, James. Some of you might remember him. I did an episode with him where we talked about this. This is how long ago it was. It was like last fall when they first released this game back in last September. Basically, people kind of figured out by playing the games and messing around with, like, I guess the debugging. They figured out that they're just running in emulators. Like they're actually,
really?
yeah. According to what James is telling me and what I have also read online, like, yeah, people found evidence to pretty much prove, without debate, that these were running on emulators and weren't like actually ports. At least I think Mario 64, Mario Sunshine. Maybe I don't know how that you would just run an emulator for Mario Galaxy because you don't have the Wii remote, so you'd have to change the controls at least. I feel like that has to be a port. But for the other two games, Mario Sunshine and 64, I'm pretty sure they're just running in emulators. And it was kind of a controversy because people were like, "This isn't really worth." I don't know how much they were charging for this. I think it was actually full price. Yeah, because that if you've ever seen the memes where people were like, Nintendo will remake a 10-year-old game and charge you like $60 for it or whatever, or $50. Yeah. That's where that started, is this. Because this was like, they just put them in random in emulators and were like, here you go. You can play this on Switch now. And people were like, well, you can just do that for free on a computer without paying anything. And they're like, you didn't do any work to actually port this. You're just running it in an emulator and then, making a ton of money off of it by releasing it for a timed exclusive period, like 6 months. So, I don't know. That was kind of a controversy. So, it's interesting. But, yeah. So, that was all the stories we had for today. So, thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you next week. So, take care.